going on? Zach here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. I am on the test server today playing Helicath, who is an extremely good champion who I think, you know, if you can, right? If you have the time, the energy, the resources, the gumption,
which is statistically impossible,
I advise almost everybody to go for this guy. Whether you're a new player, progression player, endgame player, he can help out pretty much anybody in this game. I don't think a lot of people are talking enough about just how good this champion is. Demonspawn, Spirit Affinity champion here. He looks cool as all hell, right? I mean, look at, I love the purple kind of flames or whatever the heck it is coming out of the old, wait, does he have feet? Oh, he doesn't, my man doesn't have feet. Well, how you like that? On his A1, a double hitter, each chance has a 50% chance of placing the big version of Weaken for 2 turns, will ignore shield and block damage. So big version of Weaken on the dude's A1, very reliable land rate because each hit has that 50% shot. Not bad at all, right? And we're only getting started. A2, Winds of the Pit. Attacks all enemies on a 3-turn cooldown, places a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns, value the shield proportional to this champion's defense at the time of cast, meaning you're going to want to run this champion with increased defense champions. A champion like Iron Brago, who I'll show you with today, who has that passive that can increase his defense based on Iron Brago's defense. The more defense, the better, because the more defense any Valkyrie owner out there will tell you, the better the shield's going to be. So increased defense is going to be paramount to pair with this champion. On the A3, it just keeps getting better, guys.
Are you crying?
On the A3, we have a 4-turn cooldown, places a block damage on all allies for 2 turns. Now stop there on the active effect. That ability is Rush Guard the Tower. Like that's the feature of his kit, right? And we have that as just one of the many moves this champion is bringing to the table on a 4-turn cooldown. Whenever a block damage buff placed on an ally by this champion is removed, stolen, or expires, places an increased defense buff on that ally for 2 turns. Well, that is handy to have. And I don't think, listen, this is just me, you know, it hasn't even been released at the time of this recording yet. It's just me hypothesizing. I don't think he's going to be a massive arena champion, but let me tell you what, having the block damage, if it gets removed, being replaced by an increased defense, to me, a lot of players who aren't already end game, who don't already own every champion out there in the game, a lot of players are going to be able to use him in tag team arena on one of their slower kind of go second teams. And I think, you know, a nice girthy shield and block damage or increased defense if they remove it, I think that's handy to have, right? So even in the arena on a defense team, I feel like you can use this champion. His passive increases champion's defense by 5% for each ally under block damage buff. Counterattacks with the default skill whenever an ally is hit, while under block damage buff can occur once per enemy turn. Man, that's insane as well. Think about it. Hydra Clan Boss, anywhere that you're getting a lot of attacks. Hydra Clan Boss, one quick caveat though, just be careful because they can steal his block damage, okay? You don't want to have block damage on all of the Hydra Clan Boss heads. So block buffs, excuse me, or a buff stripper on your team is going to help out tremendously if you're running him in Hydra. In terms of the aura, it keeps getting great. We have allied defense in all battles by 30%. Defense, all battles, 30%, man. Back in my day, kids, back in my day, Tyrell was just like the god at defense in all battles by 25%. This is a, you know, everybody has access, hopefully, to get this dude, and he's bringing 30 everywhere, man. Just think of all the areas a champion like this can help you out. And that's why, again, I'm not trying to sit here and overhype the dude. I'm just trying to say that from the kind of the comments that I've seen going around on this champion, it's some people crazily, to me, no offense, I love you guys, right? I love you, but are kind of on the fence. And like, dude, he's really good. By the way, guys, we did do a guide yesterday, in case you guys missed it. I am also impressed with the Kinagashi, the Reviver, the Shadowkin Reviver, who's part of the fusion as well, the epic from this fusion. So I think that, I mean, if any of you guys don't have the time or whatever to go after Helicath, I would definitely pick up at least one Kinagashi as kind of a side note. Okay, now let's go ahead and show you how I built this guy out. I just threw him in, I believe I threw him in Relentless gear, because I love throwing every OP champion in the game, pretty much, with some exceptions, in Relentless gear, because it turns really good champions who are really good at everything they do even better, because they're taking more turns, right? So I put him in Relentless. I tried to use good artifacts, obviously, end game artifacts, but not like endgame whale artifacts on this champion. So this would be a really solid build. 54-51 on the defense, 230 on the speed, trying to build them fast as well. We want them fast, ergo more chances for more turns off the Relentless proc, ergo more shields, and more everything else that he's bringing to the table, right? I'm not going to go down the whole list every single time. So we're trying to build this dude with some crit rate. Obviously, he has all those counterattacks for every time an ally is attacked while they're under the block damage. So we want him to be dealing a little bit of damage as well. We also picked up War Master as our tier 6 mastery on this champion. But, defense, right? I can't express it enough. He's a little bit challenging to build because ideally we want damage, we want speed, we want defense, and we need accuracy for the weekend. So I guess that's the only downside on this champion, is that, you need a lot of stats. You need to pay attention to a lot of stats there, especially if you really want to land the weekend, which you should. Now, I will say, if you already have a weekend champion on your team, everybody, you know your account best, right? So, of course, go with what makes sense to you. But for me, I mean, that dependable weekend on the A1 with the counterattacks, I mean, I definitely want to build him with accuracy. In terms of masteries, guys, we went down with War Master. I think it makes sense to pick up both Master Hexer for the weekend and also to pick up Lasting Gifts so we can extend the duration of the increased defense. Obviously, it won't work with block damage, but the increased defense in the shield is going to be nice. Speaking of shields, we definitely want to go support tree on this champion because we want to get Shield Bearer, increase the value of shield buffs by 5%. 5% of these big shields that he's laying down is actually a lot. For that same reason, we went for Healing Savior, increase the value of shield buffs placed by this champion by 10%. The ally has less than 40% HP. We went with Merciful Aid. If they're under those debuffs, increase the shield even more, and then again Lasting Gifts. I already told you, as a tier 6 option, we basically hugged the left side of the offensive tree here, and we went with War Master. So how do you guys feel so far? How do you guys feel so far about this dude? You like him? So I went with defense on the banner. I think I went with crit damage. Okay, here we go. I think I went with crit damage on the amulet. You can go defense if you want. If you just, you guys got to make the decision for yourselves, right? His damage, unlike like Miscreated Monster, for example, it's not based on, his shield is not based on the damage that he deals. So it's based on his defense. So if you just want to go all out shield, you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of crit damage or whatever, go HP. Maybe go with an HP amulet that has a double roll of crit damage. Get the best of both worlds, right? Also defense on the ring. We went with defense percentage. How I built him here in this Relentless gear, guys, is I built him with defense percentage on his gauntlets and defense percentage on his chest as well, speed on the boots, and then I looked for crit rate as my main substat on all the other artifacts. Crit rate, accuracy, speed. Crit rate, accuracy, speed, and defense where I could find it. You can see I got, some defense here and there, but I think we could probably stand to get even higher on the defense. Now, I will say, I mean, this is hardly a shot at the champion, right? There's a one even mildly bad thing that I've said about this dude is compared to Valkyrie, his base defense, take a note here, his base stats are solid, right? Decent HP, decent speed, 102, 1443 on his base defense. Valkyrie's base defense is 1597, almost 200 more than Helicath. And her value of her shield is, and the damage inflicted are proportional to this champion's defense. So it's the same sort of mechanic there. But just keep in mind, Valkyrie has a little bit of a leg up there, just when comparing these shields, right? These big, strong shields, because she just has that higher defense to begin with, which allows you to scale it a little bit easier. Now, when we say high defense, some people just think, okay, well, who cares? High defense, dude. Like, you know, not the end of the world. But think about it. Every percentage gear that you put on your champion is based on that base defense. So it's not just the 200 defense. It's the fact that all those percentages are scaling off of that base number, right? So having an extra 200 or so, 175 defense on Valkyrie is a big factor on that shield. So his shield is not as good as Valkyrie's, but it's still a freaking really good shield. All right, guys, we're going to start out here on floor 110, Celestial Griffin Heart. Celestial Griffin Ash, but he's magic affinity. Well, it does not matter. This dude is tanky enough to stay alive, and if he does die, because the Griffin does hit very hard here on, you know, Doom Tower hard, last floor, we have Rector Droth to revive him if necessary, but essentially he can tank for the team as the weak affinity there. I like Black Knight with him on this team because he has the lower visor ability. He Black Knight, and Iron Brago are two champions who can keep increased defense up all the time, essentially. He's a little bit slower, I think, than some of the rest of the team. But either way, as we get into this one here, guys, and I'm not going to make you wait or watch the entire waves, but let's see what he autos into here. I imagine it's going to be the A3. Yep, so he starts out with a block damage. What a way to start a turn. Block damage for 2 turns. And then he comes back around with a shield. It's almost unnecessary. You almost, unless you have a you know, a buff stripper on the enemy team, you almost maybe can take an A1 and then go to the shield, but then again, you want to off cooldown eventually anyway. So ignore me. But one thing that's very important, guys, is consider the speed of your team, right? Consider the speed of all of the champions on your team and make sure it makes sense. That sounds super obvious, but I see it all the time. People make this mistake, right? So think about it. Before he uses the shield buff, is A2, we want to make sure we have increased defense on this champion. So we need to have the increased defense champion faster than him, or like the case was the case here, he goes first with his A3, then we get increased defense, and then we go in. So just be cognizant of that. The worst thing to do is he goes in with his A2 ability, and then increased defense comes on the very next champion, right? We want to make sure we have that buff up all the time, if possible, on this champion. The more defense, the better. So I haven't noticed him starting to counterattack here. We do have the block damage. Let's see. Well, I guess it's going to be hard for them to counterattack if they're frozen, Ninja. Come on, man. I was going to cut, but it's not too long. We have Tyrell as our debuffer. We have Rector Droth as our support. Obviously, Helicath is, I do everything. I keep everybody alive all the time, no matter what. That's his job, right?
No, I can barely save me.
You can see, I mean, he's taking a little bit of damage there, even with the decreased defense. Decreased defense is a bummer on this champion, right? Because that's going to hurt his shield value. So we want to get that off of there. But either way, it's looking like we're going to be pretty good in this battle. Even, again, if he does fall, Rector Droth picks him right back up. Doesn't matter who your reviver is. In this case, Rector Droth's going to be perfect because she, A, has a great revive, and B, a great healer and force affinity as well. So, yeah, man, I mean, you guys can see what he does. This team, I don't want to speak too soon, but this team is just like really solid, right? And you don't need Black Knight, right? Another increased defense champion will do. You don't need, you know, I think that all of these champions, they just serve a role on the team, but you can make a team like this around this champion work really, really well. And you can see we're still clinging on to life, even with the heal reduction on, and essentially, like I said earlier, he's just tanking for the team. Ninja's putting in some work there. We get block damage. Hey, you can't hurt us, man. You can't hurt us, Griffin.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
I'll come back into you guys at the end screen of this battle. We'll do one more dungeon battle and call it a video. All right, guys, so here we have it. Helicath puts out 215,000 damage. Not too bad, again, for the weak affinity. Let's go ahead and take a quick run in Dragon's Lair. All right, guys, so just having some fun here. Dragon's Lair. Dragon's Lair 25 is going to be a cinch with Tomb Lord or any of these poison damage dealers as a duo squad, which is actually really nice. I don't do this just to flex on a couple champions. I do this because it actually allows you to pair him with, you can also use Richtoth the Bolt as another option, but an AoE Spirit Affinity poison damage dealer, so you can start farming food alongside him. So a nice, easy duo team here. You guys can see the poisons, you know, they're going to do all the heavy lifting. They're going to do all the hard work. And we get to the dragon, it will be a cinch. We don't have to really worry about anything. Now, if you're not at the point in the game right now where you're worried about speed farming Dragon 25, no worries. He's going to help keep your team alive, whether you're using, you know, War Maiden and Apothecary, or whether you're using Tomb Lord as his kind of sidekick. So let's get to the dragon, and I'll be right back. So here we go at the dragon, guys. Again, nice and easy here. Just a lot of poison and a lot of staying alive, right? You can see that weaken landing on the A1. Blight is the, I mean, Tomb Lord's just incredible, dude. He's got poisons on poisons on poisons. He's also your debuffer on the squad. Decrease defense, decrease attack. He's a beast. I can't believe they buffed him still. I can't believe it. I'm not complaining. I'm just, you know.
Look me in the eye and say what you need to say.
And the nice thing is on this squad, you know, I mean, well, to be fair, Tomb Lord could probably solo this himself.
For nothing at all.
But still, I mean, it's nice to see. It's nice to watch. No one's even touching us, right? Just the shield and the block damage combo. I mean, what else do you don't need OP heals. You don't need that. I mean, like, how's the damage ever going to get through unless, of course, the boss is removing all of those buffs. So we get stunned. Who cares? Let's land some more poisons, and let's take this dragon down. And again, a fairly respectable time too, considering it's a 2-champion run. So obviously, again, as I said, any dungeon in the game, any Doom Tower area, certainly clan boss, any longer battle, this champion's going to have a wide variety of versatility for you, and that's one of the biggest things that we look for in any champion when we try to make that judgment call. Should we go for the fusion? Should we go for the fragment summon? Or is this champion even worth building to begin with? What is their overall versatility? What kind of impact can they have in multiple different areas on your account? So there we have it, guys. Again, putting out a respectable 2.2 million damage compared to, you know, the fact that he doesn't have all the poisons that Tomb Lord had. Alright, guys, so I just threw together a random clan boss team for you. We have Iron Brago. Again, very, very important to pair with this champion if you're lucky enough to have him. He has increased defense on 3-turn cooldown that lasts for 3 turns. He also has his passive bestow strength, excuse me, increase defense of all allies by 10% of this champion's defense, which is incredible, obviously, because of the shield. Speaking of shields, Underpriest Brogni, a previous fusion, has great synergy with him as well, because he has Cavern's Grasp, which can grow the shield of all other allies, which is going to be, or increase the value, I should say, by 30%. So that's going to be amazing as well. We have Dracomorph in there as a debuffer, Syl in there as a healer, and a reviver in case we lose Dracomorph. So I think this team is going to be really, really solid. Let's go ahead and kick things off here. I'll just come back at you guys at the end. This is not a speed tune team by any stretch of the imagination, so I don't expect incredible damage here, but I just wanted to kind of show you some ideas, especially with Brogni, to grow that shield, and Iron Brago to, you know, make the shield better with his passive and his increased defense. Kind of all these champions together on a squad and see what they can do. So I will be right back, guys. Let me know if you can think of any other synergies that I didn't mention with this champion in the comments below. Alright, guys, so unfortunately we lost Syl pretty early on here, so 28 million damage is really not about the damage, it's about the, well, I guess his damage not too bad again. All those counterattacks, right, every time an ally is hit under the block damage, but you can have a lot of fun with this champion, guys. I hope you enjoyed this guide. I do want to make a note here. I have him in a Relentless set. Obviously, if he's on some speed-tuned, unkillable comp, you're not going to want him in a Relentless set. You can run Protection on this champion. Really, really cool, because then, you know, it's very pesky to protect the buffs that he has. Obviously, very powerful buffs. Block damage, namely. And you can run him in just defense. You can run him like triple defense, or even a Reflex set. You can think outside the box with this champion. There's really no right or wrong set with this champion, because he's such a versatile champ overall. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know, do you plan on going for this dude? I plan on going for him. I hope you do too, if you have the time and the energy, like literally energy in-game and out of game. I appreciate you guys, sending you positive vibes and lots of love your way, especially if you need it. And as always, take care, guys.